Hello Darts Nutz, welcome to Darts Review channel and welcome to all the new people to darts. Every year we have an influx of people because of the World Championships, and this year it's been particularly active because of the Luke Littler effect. There's been a lot of people taking up the sport, and that's great. It's actually awesome that there's more and more people taking it up. Now this video is basically aimed at you. If you don't know, my name's Darren. I've been doing dart reviews on YouTube since 2012. I was also doing reviews on forums long before that. Anyway, this video is entitled Best Darts for Beginners. Now there's a contradiction in a way, because basically there's no such thing as a best dart. What's he bloody called it Best Darts for Beginners for then, you might be saying? Is he stupid? No, the reason why I called it Best Darts for Beginners is because that's the question that I get asked all the time. What is the best darts for a beginner? Sometimes I'll get, what's the best darts for me? I hold it at the front like you. But you might hold it at the front like me, but you don't throw it the same as me. So what might be best for me might not be best for you. And basically, if there was such a thing as a best dart, we'd all be throwing it. And there'd only be one type of dart, but there's actually thousands of different darts out there. So it's impossible for them to make a dart that will suit everyone. We're all different heights and builds, and our arms rotate in slightly different angles and what have you. And we all have different strength of muscles and what have you. So it's impossible for them to make a dart that is going to be a single best dart. But what I'm going to recommend is a dart that comes as close as possible to that. And it's not a single named dart, but it's a style of dart. And that is basically a straight barrel ring grip dart. And it's what I call a Goldilocks barrel. It's a dart that works for many people, and many pros still use this style of dart. It's what you call a good all-rounder. It'll work whether you're a front gripper, a mid gripper, or a rear gripper, or anywhere in between. And I say, like, a Goldilocks dart is in a particular zone. We've got like many different weights of darts, and you might be confused with all the different weights, but I think if you start around 23 to 25 gram, then it's not too light and it's not too heavy. If you get a dart that's around 48 to 50 millimeter, it's not too short and it's not too long. If you get a dart that's around 6.2 to 6.5 millimeter thick, it's not too thin and it's not too thick. And basically the grip is not too grippy and not too slippy, so hence why I call it a Goldilocks barrel, because it's kind of in that zone of being just about right. Doesn't necessarily mean it is the best dart for you, but if you're a complete beginner, I think it's the best dimensions to start with. And I will put all the measurements up on the screen of what I kind of recommend, and I'll give you some examples. And the other thing is, darts can be made of different materials. The three darts that I have here are all 90% tungsten, and what that means is 90% of the metal is tungsten and the 10% is something else, usually nickel. And you can get darts made of brass and stainless steel, and you can even get darts made of wood and aluminium. Brass darts are normally very cheap, and a lot of beginners often start with brass darts. Nothing wrong with that if that's how you want to start. And sometimes beginners feel the thicker barrels of a brass dart is a little bit easier to control. But if you're going to take darts seriously, or you're hoping to in the future, you're going to progress to tungsten, so why not start with tungsten darts? So to sum up, the kind of Goldilocks range that I'm talking about is a straight, also called parallel, barrel shape, 23 to 25 gram weight, 6.2 to 6.5 mil thick, 48 millimeters to 50 millimeters length, and with a kind of flattish ring grip like I'm showing there. But like I say, you don't have to stick strictly to what I've said there, but it just gives you a guideline. Right, this is two of the darts that I was holding in the intro, and they were both the Eric Bristow variations. You've got the top one, which is the newer Legend Eric Bristow cocked finger darts, and the bottom one, which is the original Harrows Eric Bristow. Now obviously these are both 22 gram. Nothing wrong if you want to go a bit lighter, like I said, but this is basically just to give you an idea of the kind of grip. If you look, it's a fairly wide spaced ring grip with quite narrow grooves in between, so it's probably not enough grip for some people, but it's, like I said, kind of in the middle of the road, not too grippy and not too slippy. But the dimensions are pretty much same, 6.3 and 48 mil near enough. And then if you wanted to go a little bit grippier, there's something like the Argos Winmore Navigator. And like I said, I'm not giving you an example to say that you have to go buy these, it's just to show you the kind of grips and barrel styles, but they're all straight barrel ring grips, just different variations of the thickness of the rings and the grooves. So that one a little bit more grippy. And then another one that I've done a review on, the Quantum Roscoe 23 gram, a little bit thicker barrel and around about the same length, but another slightly different variation of grip. So again, maybe a little bit more grippy than the others. So I'll show you some examples on the internet now. Right, so I'm on the Darts Corner site, and once again, you don't have to buy from Darts Corner. This is just because it's got a menu selection which will illustrate some of the things I was talking about. So ignore what's on the right for the moment, but where it says dart weight, on here they've got a range from 12 gram right up to 48 gram, and some sites have darts that are only 10 grams, so there's a wide range of weights to choose from, so it's no wonder beginners get a little bit confused. And if you look at dart material, we've got 97%, 97.5, that should be above really, and as you can see, the most common there is the 90% tungsten, which has got 769 sets of darts, then 80%, which is 238, and brass 141. So I'm sure they still sell brass. I mean, they wouldn't be putting it in the shop if they weren't selling it, so some people must be buying it, but I can only think it's people who are just not that bothered about getting serious and they just want a set of darts just nice and cheap, because as you can see, they can cost as cheap as £3.45 on there. So nothing wrong with using brass if you're just playing for a bit of fun, but like I said, if you're going to get a bit serious, then you might as well start with tungsten, because you won't be paying a huge amount for some of the ones that I'll be showing you. But if you go back to the weight section, as you can see, the popular range of weights is probably starting from 20, but the most common there is 22, 24, 25, 26. But so around that range from say 20 to 26 grams seems to be the range that most people pick a set from, and I would say the most common is 22, 23, 24, but I just said 23, 24 and 25 gram as a Goldilocks zone because it means you can go lighter or heavier, so nothing wrong if you want to go either way. And then if we go to barrel shape, we've got straight 879, and then as you can see we've got the other shapes, tapered being the next highest. And I'm not going to go into all the different shapes, I might do that in another video. But then if you look on the type of grip, again, like I said, ring grip is most popular. We've got 1179 sets of darts with ring grip, and next popular milled. But some of the grips are kind of complicated to describe because they have quite a lot of variation now, because the machines have been advancing over the years and they're coming out with all kinds of fancy grips, but we'll just stick with that for now. And I'm not sure whether this part of the site is right, because it says dart length 31 to 47.8 and it won't go any higher, but they actually do sell darts that are a lot longer than that, so I don't know if there's something that needs tweaking on their site, but if you look on the right, the selection is vast basically, and if we go to the bottom there, 1,351 products there. So we'll narrow that down. Right, I'm gonna pick 23, 24 and 25 gram. I'm gonna pick straight barrel. I'm gonna pick, I'll put the dimensions just for the sake of it. I'll just go 6 to 6.6 because then you're gonna be somewhere within that range. Right, it's jumped before I got it in. Yeah, so there we are, 6 to 6.6. I don't think I can make that length any longer, so I'll leave that. Now if you also look, it says dart nose shape. We've got different shaped noses, but I don't think you should worry too much about that when you're a beginner, so I'm not going to bother changing that. Now we've got 407 products to choose from. Right, so I've made the selection there, and this is what obviously it's come up with, but there may be some that it hasn't probably worked out right, but as you can see there's a vast variety of darts. I've picked out a few samples what I'll show you just now, but as you scroll down you will see all different kinds of grips. Some is a nail grip, these got nailed rings, and some have very thin ring grips. As you can see, Jockey Wilson classic straight barrel, so there's a pro player's dart and another pro player, and then two more from the Wayne Meidel range, which is a straight barrel similar to the Eric Bristow style. And like I said, so many pros use a straight barrel ring grip style or variation of, but it's hardly surprising people get a bit lost when they see so many darts to choose from, and my suggestions are just there to give you a bit of a guidance really. Like I said, don't take anything gospel because you can basically start with anything, but it's just a kind of a middle of the road Goldilocks style. And there's another pro player, Roby John Rodriguez, and another one, Gary Anderson. I'll show you some ones that I've picked out just to give you an idea. So basically this one here, the Designer Spectre, I mean fairly cheap barrel, and if you look, 24 gram width, 6.7, 50.2, and maybe a little bit more grippy than the flattish ring grip one I showed on the Eric Bristow darts, but it's still fine if you wanted to go with something like that. And another one, it's slightly different again, it's got a better picture. But there, if you click on there you can see. So that's 25 gram, the one I've picked there. Again, 6.7, 47 mil, so it's pretty close to the range that I mentioned. And this one, slightly thin ring grip with painted grooves, but 25 gram, 6.8, 50.6. And another one quite similar, but that one's got quite a flat bull nose. And lastly, the Jockey Wilson one, which is again a similar style, a slightly tapered bull nose, 24 gram, 6.4, 50.3. So basically that is what I would call like a Goldilocks beginner's style of dart, straight barrel, ring grip. So what I'll do in another video is I'll give you some ideas on darts that you might want to actually buy as a beginner. I'll try and find out some really cheap ones and give you a selection, but like I said, just aim for something around that range and that weight and you can't really go wrong. And then as you get better you can experiment and try different shapes and weights if you want, and I'll probably do an updated video about that as well, so hopefully it'll just help you along. So that is the end of this video. Hope you've got some use out of it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Happy darting.